From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Drama on Capitol Hill today as the House Judiciary Committee kicks off its public impeachment hearings with testimony for and against President Trump.
Plus, rethinking education. See what is and isn't being done to help Latino students succeed in Arizona schools.
And rain or shine, I'm tracking the wintry weather as we inch closer to the weekend.
Cronkite News starts now.
Our top story tonight, the Trump impeachment saga, as the House Judiciary Committee holds its first ever public hearings. Good evening, I'm Madison LaBerge.
And I'm Daria Yasmin. Thank you for joining us. The hearings come after the House committees adopted a nearly 300-page report yesterday, accusing President Trump of abusing his office and endangering national security.
Today, the House Judiciary Committee took the reins with 4 legal scholars, 3 of whom were invited by the Democrats, testifying on Capitol Hill. This comes just one day after the House Intelligence Committee, led by California Congressman Adam Schiff, made their impeachment investigation report public.
This is precisely the misconduct that the framers created a Constitution, including impeachment, to protect against.
The witness took jabs at key Republican talking points, including the argument that withholding from Ukraine does not amount to an impeachable offense because it was ultimately released. But Professor Jonathan Turley stood out as a clear defender of President Trump.
Impeachments have to be based on proof, not presumptions. That's the problem when you move towards impeachment on this abbreviated schedule.
3 Arizona lawmakers were also on hand as the House Judiciary Committee began its impeachment hearings. Democrat Greg Stanton and Republicans Debbie Lesko and Andy Biggs are members of the committee.
Heather Cumberledge in our Washington bureau tried to track them down during breaks in the hearing to get their take on the proceedings.
In 8 hours of testimony so far, Democrats have hit hard on what they call President Donald Trump's abuse of office and obstruction of justice, while Republicans repeatedly said nothing rises to the level of impeachment. And after 8 hours, there appears to be little room for agreement.
This continues to be a very partisan process. You've seen it in the past. You see it again today.
After the first few hours of testimony, Arizona Representative Debbie Lesko said the hearing was stacked against Trump and his defenders on the committee. She said Republicans were not given equal speaking time and were quickly shut down by Chairman Jerry Nadler when they tried to talk. In his opening statement, Nadler chose to focus on the historic magnitude of the proceedings.
Never before in the history of the Republic have we been forced to consider the conduct of a president who appears to have solicited personal political favors from a foreign government. Never before has a president engaged in a course of conduct that included all of the acts that most concerned the framers.
Democrats repeatedly invoked the Constitution, and today's hearing focused on 4 constitutional lawyers, one of whom, Democratic witness Noah Feldman, said there is enough information for lawmakers to make an informed decision.
On the basis of the testimony and the evidence before the House, President Trump has committed impeachable high crimes and misdemeanors.
But Jonathan Turley, the sole lawyer called by Republicans, said there is no crime that rises up to the level of impeachment.
I'm concerned about lowering impeachment standards to fit a paucity of evidence and an abundance of anger.
Lesko said she does not think today's hearing changed many minds on the committee or among the public.
If they're trying to sway the public, I don't think this particular witness group is going to do it, because they're talking about, what happened back in the House of Commons back in, the 1800s or something. I don't think most people are going to stay tuned in.
Committee members spent the afternoon asking questions that were often phrased more like statements, and when the time came for him to talk, Congressman Andy Biggs accused the witnesses of having made up their minds long before the hearing even began. In Washington, for Cronkite News, I'm Heather Cumberledge.
For continuing coverage of the impeachment hearings in D.C., follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
The Latino community. It's the fastest growing population here in Arizona. In fact, it's more than tripled since 1990. But while the community and its impact on Arizona continue to grow, Latinos remained underserved and underrepresented, especially on the State Board of Education. But a new advocacy group wants to change that and correct the miseducation. All In Education is a new advocacy group that focuses on the success of Latino students. Founder Luisa Vila says its mission is clear: to add Latino leaders in decision-making positions in education.
Unfortunately, almost half of the student population in Arizona is Latino, but only about less than 10% of people making decisions for children in our state are Latino.
Avila says that this is a big problem, but they're hoping to make systematic changes to level out the playing field for children K through 12 and tackle the education gap.
There are a lot of leaders in our community who care about education, but we need to be okay with saying it is what happens to our future generation matters now, and this is where we want to put a line in the sand and say this is how we will advocate for our kids, this is how we will advocate for our community. And when we do that and when we think about the growing Latino population, we do it from a lens of opportunity and not from a deficit perspective.
All For Education is not only looking to have more Latino representation on the Arizona Board of Education, they are also working to appeal Prop 203. It was passed in the year 2000, and it repealed bilingual education laws and required that all classes be taught in English. Latino advocacy groups say that it has slowed academic progress for English language learning students.
So what we're doing, it's not working. We have to change it. And those policies that were created almost 20 years ago were created by people who do not have the lived experiences we have. So we have to be at the table making the decisions. No more decisions without us at the table.
Unidos US says that the English learning students' graduation rates in Arizona have dropped 48 percentage points compared to their peers. Arizona's State Superintendent of Public Instruction has released statements supporting the repeal of Prop 203. State lawmakers were leaning towards repeal last legislative session, but ran out of time.
A lot has happened to the president over the last year. The president of Mexico, that is. It was 1 year ago this week that Andrés Manuel López Obrador was sworn in as president of Mexico. And experts in Washington took a look back as Hannah Ehrlich reports from our Washington bureau.
When he took office a year ago, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador faced a lot of challenges. But experts this week said the biggest challenge for the man known as AMLO may have been his country's relationship with the U.S.
And if you look at what has been the most important or the most efficient check that the López Obrador presidency has faced during this year, it is not Congress, it is not the Supreme Court, it is not the press, it is not civil society, it is not the so-called markets or the private sector. It's a relationship with the United States.
Those challenges have included working with the U.S. on asylum policies and border laws, and a relationship with President Donald Trump that has not always been smooth, said Rebecca Bill Chavez, senior fellow at the Inter-American Dialogue and the Peter D. Bell Rule of Law program.
Well, unfortunately, I think he was basically, our President Trump pressured him to accept the Remain in Mexico program.
That program requires people seeking asylum in the U.S. to wait on the Mexican side of the border, a policy AMLO agreed to in the face of Trump's threat to impose tariffs on Mexican goods. It may not have been the most elegant way to get an agreement, but David Beer, immigration policy analyst for the Cato Institute, says it did the trick.
The other thing was the threat of tariffs ultimately was effective in bringing them to the table to negotiate over immigration.
Bravo Regador, the professor at the Center for Economic Research and Teaching, calls it an ironic twist for López Obrador, who ran promising a stronger Mexico.
He has obviously been a president who has tried to build a strong presidency. And we have this irony or this dissonance of, one year after what we have is a strong presidency or stronger presidency but a weaker government. And one of the reasons of this has to do with institutions.
Despite the occasional tiffs, Beer says at a minimum, there has been collaboration between the countries, even if it's what he calls contentious collaboration.
At the end of the day, we have have seen a lot of collaboration. We have seen a lot of deal making getting done. And so I would say it's one of contention, but collaboration.
In Washington, Hannah Ehrlich, Cronkite News.
Obrador called for binational cooperation last week when President Trump said he wished to designate Mexican drug cartels as terror groups after the killing of 9 Americans in the state of Sonora. But while he called for cooperation, Obrador still warned against direct American intervention.
One Native American community will benefit from a new project that will bring behavioral health care to its members. The project will include many programs, but will also focus on teens and older adults. Ashley Stewart tells us what is this project and where it'll be located.
A 120-bed behavioral health facility plans to break ground January of 2020. I spoke to those facility providers to see what this will do for our community. This land will soon be home to a behavioral health facility. Todd Bryant, the president of Healthcare Development Partners, says it's an opportunity to enhance healthcare services.
It's going to be able to serve the community on an outpatient basis, and again, state-of-the-art, full-service healthcare community that really focuses on wellness and where we see healthcare going in the future.
With the facility spanning over 43 acres, Bryant says the location of the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community will provide the care and access the community and surrounding areas need.
The plan is to do care anywhere from adolescent up to geriatric, and to take care of both medically ill patients with drug and alcohol problems, but also people with straight up behavioral health problems.
According to a study by Minority Health, over 61% of Native Americans over 18 years old received treatment for depression in 2018.
They're getting taken care of, but now they'll be able to go to a place where they can actually get the care they need in a more therapeutic environment.
Honor Health and Universal Health Services have partnered to address the growing and unmet need for accessible care by providing a full continuum of behavioral health programs and services.
When you have someone who's medically ill and they're not getting their psych needs taken care of, they don't take their medicines, they don't follow up for care, so getting both things fixed actually lowers the cost of care.
Silver says the community is excited about the facility and looks forward to filling the gaps in behavioral health.
An opportunity for us to really change the flavor of the community if we can help these folks. It's a sore need. It's not just in our area, it's across the entire state.
The facility plans to be completed by early 2021. Treatment options will include intensive outpatient and partial hospitalization. Live in the control room, Ashley Stewart, Cronkite News.
Hydroelectric dam is on track to debut in the Little Colorado River.
But the Hopi tribe is stepping in to try and stop the dam from being built. Find out why they say the dam could cause long-term issues in the area.
And rain chances back on the rise here in the valley as Flagstaff transforms into a winter wonderland. After the break, the days you should pack an umbrella and bundle up.
The weather around Phoenix is just beautiful today. Let's take a look at the weather around the valley.
Thank you for joining us for the special edition of Cronkite News. Here are the top stories that we're tracking today at noon.
Some of the best players for their program.
Cronkite Noticias is the Spanish-speaking division of Cronkite News, covering topics such as economics, education, sustainability, immigration, and border relations. Cronkite Noticias strives to serve the Spanish-speaking community in Arizona. Under the guidance of prominent Spanish-speaking professionals, students at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism develop content for our broadcast partner, Univision, as well as on Facebook and Twitter. Explore Cronkite Noticias at cronkitenoticias.azpbs.org.
A Phoenix-based company has proposed 2 dam projects that would bring hydropower to the Little Colorado River. But already there is more than a dozen efforts to stop them.
Cronkite News reporter Melanie Porter is following the story. Melanie, how does this technology work?
The company Pumped Hydro Storage wants to build a system on the Little Colorado River that would store energy. Here's how it works. There would be 2 large reservoirs and 2 dams, both at extremely different elevations. The more drastic the difference in elevations, the better. The company would buy renewable energy when it's at its peak, in the daytime, and use it to pump water from the bottom reservoir up to the top. When the sun goes down and renewable energy costs more, Pumped Hydro would release the water to the lower reservoir and sell the energy for profit. Although these projects are 5 miles outside of the Grand Canyon, their impact would directly affect the people and the culture within.
That is the birthplace of Hopi. That's our church. There's our place of worship.
The Hopi people hold the Grand Canyon and Little Colorado River with the highest degree of sacredness.
We need to go forth and talk with them before any ideas are addressed.
Any project proposed on and around the Little Colorado River is taken very seriously, not only for its potential environmental and economic impact, but also from a cultural standpoint. Hopi Vice Chairman Clark Tinakongva believes the Hopi people haven't been given the proper respect when planning these dam proposals.
But they've already got an agenda that's printed out in social media of what their plans are, without no word from either the Navajo or Hopi tribe.
Tinakongva believes they have fought the exploitation and degradation of their land time and time again.
They're just a bunch of brown people, skinned people living up north. It won't hurt us in any way.
The Hopi and environmental groups, including the Grand Canyon Trust, are looking to leaders to help preserve the Little Colorado River for future generations.
We were here before the hydro dams were even thought about. There's reasons why we oppose it, and they need to respect that. You know, if they want to generate revenue, do it elsewhere.
But Pumped Hydro Storage LLC says these projects are in the right place and would help push the science of renewable energy forward.
If you want to expand renewables, you're going to have to come up with ways to store it. And we just think that location is just a fantastic location for doing that.
Steve Irwin and Justin Rundle filed for permits in the spring to build 2 separate projects on and around the Little Colorado River. If both are approved, it would mean 4 dams, 4 reservoirs, and 2 hydro generating facilities.
Salt Trail Canyon would be roughly $3 billion, and the other one would be like $6-7 billion.
Irwin says the projects will help keep the local economy afloat by providing jobs to those who used to work for the Navajo Generating Station, which closed in November.
And the Navajo need the work, and they have the facilities there. We're using stuff that's already there. It just makes a lot of sense.
Pumped Hydro Storage wants to use the power lines that were built for the Navajo Generating Station. But for the Navajo, even the promise of jobs isn't enough to overcome the fear around the impact of dams.
I think a lot of our people out there really want to keep our lands pristine, meaning the way it used to be, just to respect and to be caretakers of our land. That's why we're placed here. And so putting a dam there will disrupt life.
Glen Canyon was the place no one knew.
Glen Canyon Dam was finished in 1963, and we use it and the lake it created to provide recreation and power all around the West.
Of course, it gave jobs to a lot of Native Americans at the time it was being built. But look what it did.
Beautiful canyons and culturally significant land is now deep underwater because of the Glen Canyon Dam. Other dams were proposed around the same time, but they weren't built because of the public outcry.
The political and economic pressure to provide cheap electricity was so strong, there had to be an alternative. So ultimately, when the decision was made not to build those 2 dams, the alternative way of getting electricity was to build Navajo Generating Station.
The power lines went up to avoid building more dams in the area back in the 60s, but those same power lines are the reason why Pumped Hydro Storage LLC wants to pursue this area.
Both the Navajo and the Hopi made money on it. And we're looking to replace the Navajo Generating Station with these.
Although these hydroelectricity projects are at the very beginning stages, and it will be a long road before anything is decided, the Navajo and Hopi tribes know there is more at risk in a land that holds the past and future of its people. The window for public comment on these two proposals closed on November 22nd, and now it is up to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to determine the fate of these two proposals. In the broadcast studio, Melanie Porter, Cronkite News.
It's been another rainy day in the valley with more snow expected to fall up north tonight.
Quentin Walker is standing by with a look at the rising rain chances even as we head into the weekend. Quentin?
Yeah, we've been seeing quite a bit of rain here in Phoenix, and I'm no architect, but I think if we could stick a couple slides on some of the buildings downtown, we could have our very own little water park going on here.
I don't know if that's the safest, but I'd follow you after you did it.
I don't think that's the best idea because I don't think we want to be seeing some raining men, but it's okay.
You know what? We're going to workshop that one, but we will have some rain tonight. Take a look. This is what we have going on right now at a cool 72 degrees, moving down to 62 at 10 o'clock. Your highest chance for precipitation coming at 8 p.m. We do have a storm system lingering above the state right now. I'll show you right here. Take a look. This is what we have, bringing us some loose rains across the valley. That's then going to move up toward Denver into tomorrow, where they'll likely see some snow, leaving us with a couple spotty showers here in Phoenix, then ushering in some clouds that you'll see there on Friday. But that's not it. Take a look around Los Angeles. That precipitation there is likely going to make its way towards Arizona, catching up with us sometime next week. But here's your low temperatures for tomorrow: 50 degrees. Phoenix, Bullhead City, and Lake Havasu City there as well. 23 at the Grand Canyon, Flagstaff, and a low 20 at Window Rock. Zooming into the valley, your highs for tomorrow in the high 60s. Then your weekend forecast for you right here. Again, a high of 68 tomorrow there, 71 on Friday and Saturday. Then taking a look at the rest of the week, you get a cloud, you get a cloud, everybody gets a cloud. I feel like Oprah up here. Where's my magazine? Come on. We've got clouds bringing us all the way to next Wednesday, as well as some precipitation there on Sunday. From the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Quentin Walker. Back to you.
Up next, skate after school.
We shine the spotlight on a program aimed at keeping kids off the streets once the school bell rings and show you how you can help them skate into success.
By the year 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Before Professor Halden, I had an insane amount of passion, but I almost felt helpless because I didn't know how to use it. Professor Halden gave me a chance to make a difference. Being at a place like ASU allows you to take these big leaps. Ultimately, the biggest problems in the world cannot be solved alone.
On the next Arizona Horizon, coverage and analysis of the House Judiciary Committee's opening round of impeachment hearings. And we'll look at concerns over mental health services in the criminal justice system. It's on the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, the U.S. House Intelligence Committee lays out the case for impeaching President Trump. Coming up after Cronkite News and Arizona Horizon on Arizona PBS.
Roughly 214,000 students are left unsupervised once their school day is done.
After-school programs can give these kids the supervision they need and the opportunity to learn something new.
Cronkite News reporter Rio Painter is joining us now. She paid a visit to one after-school program called Skate After School to see what they're doing for students and how you might be able to help.
With over 240 students each week, Skate After School is teaching kids how to skateboard and how to be a good person all around. And some donations might be just what they need to help out the kids they serve just a little bit more.
You all right?
Yeah. Skate After School started off as a small community project in 2012. It quickly grew and became a nonprofit organization that provides after-school care to underserved schools in the Phoenix area. Co-founder and program director Timothy Ward has been part of the program since the beginning.
And we use donated gear, helmets, wrist guards, skateboards, and
and ramps to do an after-school program with kids, teach them how to skate in a safe and productive and fun environment.
Each week, Timothy visits the schools that host the after-school program with a group of trained volunteers. Ben Bravenick is in his 3rd year as a volunteer with the program.
Skate After School, it develops all of the greatest parts about skateboarding, where we have a really good sense of community and the kids learn a lot of great values through it.
3 years ago, the program began a partnership with Cowtown Skateboards to start the Skateboard Angel program.
Skateboard Angel program is a program that we do with Cowtown Skateboards, which allows people from the community to buy a brand new complete skateboard at a discounted rate for one of the kids in our program.
For students to be part of the Skateboard Angel program, they need to be enrolled in the after-school program. While in the program, they fill out a slip of paper with their name and turn it into the director. From there, people from all across the state are able to donate boards. The goal is for each child in the program to have their own skateboard before schools release for winter break.
Those who want more information about the Skateboard Angel program can visit skateafterschool.org or contact any of the 4 Cowtown Skateboard Shop locations. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Take care and have a great night.